Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Get Your Fill. I am your host, Phil Thrill, and today I wanted to talk about how much I miss baseball and how I originally got into baseball and all things regarding baseball. And I miss it so much that I've been loading up on some Big League Chew. And for the sake of not sounding like a cow, I'm not going to chew it on the podcast, but just want to let you know I've been going through these like crazy, but I think we're all dealing with the loss of baseball and this new way of life differently. But I still remember the first time I got into baseball. I was probably about maybe 7 or 8 years old. Um, my dad would take me to his softball games when I was a kid. They were super early in the morning, but I just loved watching him play, and I loved everything about the game. So I would get up super early on a Sunday morning, skip out on going to church, which I would get tons of heat from my grandmother later, but would sneak out on Sunday mornings and watch him play. And it was cool just to see the camaraderie, or whatever that word is, the uh, the closeness he had with his teammates and stuff, and seeing some of the guys on the team that were really good, and just them letting me shad fly balls and just kind of be part of the team in like a small little way. But that's when I originally like found baseball, and it was something that I at that point really set out to try to do. Um, Unfortunately, I never got to where I wanted to get, but I still got to play against a lot of guys that went on to play pro baseball, and made some cool friends along the way. And because of it, actually was able to get a pretty successful career in the travel industry for about a decade. So um, I owe baseball a lot. So it's uh, it's something I'm definitely struggling with, not being able to watch it on TV. And I'm lucky enough to have a position where I coach kids and teach them how to hit, and I'm a baseball coach as well. So not being able to, be on the field and be around guys that are trying to get to the next level, or guys that are approaching their high school season or their college season, to kind of not be uh, available for some of those guys, or for them not to have a season to be able to be available for those guys to kind of lead them to the landmines and kind of just get them on the right track, and hopefully they stay on the right path, and do all the things they need to do to get to the next level. But obviously with a worldwide pandemic going on, that's the last of what everybody should be thinking about. But it's those things though that we have that sort of we're able to distract ourselves from what's going on in the real world. So for me it's baseball. For other people it's TV shows, or everyone's got their own outlet they have to kind of take a pause on life and just enjoy stuff for what it is. And baseball has always been that thing for me. So whatever stuff I was going through, good or bad, seeing baseball always kind of put me in an extra good mood. And it was always, especially when I was playing, it was good to see, if I had a good day, and then just to watch maybe my favorite player or a guy I like to watch hit play, and see if I could pick some things up from there, and add things to my game, and just progressively get better. And I feel like that's you know a lot of the way I kind of approach life too, trying to just use everything I learned from baseball to get better at something. And the one good thing baseball teaches us is how to overcome adversity, and how to deal with failure, because it's a game where if you're successful 30% of the time, you're a 300 hitter, and 99% of the time you're a starting player. So, but it's a very difficult game, in my opinion. It's the most difficult game. sure there could be arguments for other sports too, but I think when you just stack up all the chips, I think baseball is the most difficult. Um, I'm not going to get into the semantics of it, but I mean, we could probably have a good case for it just based upon how the game is structured and, just the mathematics of it and the scientific part of it. But, I'm not going to dive too much into that because I'm sure every sport could make a case for their sport being the hardest. But in my opinion, I think it's still the hardest game out there. And which is, I think I can't think of the quote right now, but there's this quote where it's like the game's meant to be hard, and it's the hard part that makes it great. I think it's Field of Dreams or Bill Durham, but I could be wrong on both of those. But I should know that from talking about how much I love baseball, but I'm just drawing a blank right now. But yeah. So my dad, he was pretty good, and I looked up to him when he played. I mean, we were completely different ball players as far as how we played the game and even the positions we played. And I hit right-handed and he hit left-handed. So, our approach to the game was different. Like we couldn't be any different, but, I definitely respected his ability and his talent. And, what a good teammate he was too. I remember there was a time where him and his buddies were kind of having a good time after the game. I'll just say that, drinking some beers and stuff. And they were arguing over stats or something stupid. And my dad wanted to get into it. This guy, his name was Tony Costa. I think he's a big dude. And to be honest, my dad didn't get the best of that, and he didn't get his ass kicked, but he didn't get the best of that. And I think they had a week off or something, but I was always wondering like what's going to happen, like blah blah blah, because it kind of just everybody broke it up and everybody went home. And my dad got to the field late that day, and they were already playing. And I remember like we're just getting into the dugout or like into the baseball area. I don't even know if they actually had a dugout, but the guy I was just talking about who fought my dad was rounding third and scoring. And as he crossed home plate, his momentum, because he was running so fast, him and my dad just came face to face. And I'll never forget it. It was such a moment where like time stood still and everybody just stopped because no one knew what was going to happen because I don't think they talked to each other since that moment. They got to a fight. They looked at each other. They had like a 3-second pause and just like embraced each other. And it was like one of the coolest moments I've ever seen because like everyone thought there was going to be like just a big fist fight. And, because especially if, the majority of my friends who know my dad know that he's not a type of person to, he's the type of person to hold a grudge and blah, blah, blah. And for him to just embrace him in that moment and just remember that it's a team game and blah, blah, blah was super cool. And it was one of those moments I'll never forget. And then, they went on, I don't know if they won the championship that year. I mean, they were a good team, but, it was water under the bridge at that point. It was like, it went from something, that was like pretty physical and like pretty hard to watch as a kid. And then for them just to like, after the game, they were right back at it, breaking each other's balls. And, so, to see that as a kid, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to grow up and be on a team and have that kind of, not to say that you should get into a fist fight with your teammates, but, to have that kind of, relationship where it's like, your family, sometimes you have good times, sometimes you have bad times, but at the end of the day, you have a common goal you're trying to reach, and you got to put your differences aside and your ego aside and do what you got to do. So that was my inspiration, and then from there, I played Little League for quite a while, and was pretty good. I played in-house for a little while, so like I was kind of a big fish in a small pond. So, I thought I was a little better than I was, because I did hit a little bump in the road once I got moved up to stiffer competition. But one of the coolest in-house stories I had, I think I was about 13 or 14, and I don't know the other name of the kid I played with, but he was really good. I would say we were like 1A and 1B on the team. And I think we were like 16-0 or 14-0 or something like that. We had a really good team. And, me and him, I would say, were arguably the two best kids on the team. So I remember my dad coming back from a league meeting, and he's like, they traded you, and I can't believe I forgot his name. I feel so bad. But whatever, it's drawn. I think his name's Craig. But anyway, for the story, his name's Craig. He's like, they traded you and Craig to the last place team. I was like, how can they even do that? And I don't know. Apparently, parents were like, saying it's not fair, yada yada yada. So they caved in and literally traded us to the last place team at the last day of the season. So obviously I was upset, and Craig was upset, but what you gotta do? It's in-house baseball. you can't change the rules, and you gotta do what you gotta do. So and because it's in-house baseball, everybody makes the playoffs. So we were like, all right, whatever. We'll drag this team to the championship. And we actually, I didn't think, we said that, but I don't think we actually, thought we could do that, because we literally switched, from going top to bottom. But I remember we I think he played really, really well too. Like, he pitched really well. Specifically, he pitched really well. I was a pretty good pitcher back then, but I was just wild thing. I either threw strikes or I threw balls. So. Which is ultimately why after that I never wanted to pitch. I just wanted to be a position player. So, and that's what I did. But we did what we set out to do, though. We willed our team to a championship. I actually contributed in the final game. It was tied going to the last inning, and I was lucky enough to hit like a bases clearing triple to win the game for us, which is like, a moment I still remember, even though it's in-house baseball. It's one of those moments that are just like ingrained in my mind. And, I hope like if, I start losing my mind over time, that's one of those memories I hold on to. So it's one of those things too, where I was super nervous, and I thought I was going to fail. I was like, I almost couldn't even get to the plate and hit, because I was so nervous. And, luckily enough, my dad was coaching first, and I guess he saw it on my face, whatever, and he called for time and called me down the line, and he's like, "What's up? What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm fucking terrified. I don't want to be in the spot." And he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "What's the worst that's gonna happen? You gonna make an out?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the worst thing that can happen." He's like, "Just hit the ball hard somewhere, be a hard out." And it's not the most inspiring speech or pep talk, but it instantly calmed me down and relaxed me. I'm like, all right, whatever. And that's all I was trying to do, is like, just be a hard out, hit the ball hard somewhere. And I think just taking that pressure off, and just, knowing whatever happens, happens. And that's really all I could do with baseball too, is control, how, you can't really control. I mean, you could, to a certain extent, you can control, where you hit the ball, depending on what kind of pitch you get. But at the same time, you can't determine how good the outfielder is, how they're playing you, your percentages. So just hit the ball hard somewhere and hope something good happens. And, luckily that's what happened that day. And I had plenty of other moments, though, where I came up in that spot and didn't succeed, struck out, popped up, grounded out. And that's just how baseball is, though. It's the one time or the couple of times that you step up big that it overshadows those times you failed. So, and that's what kind of makes baseball, in my opinion, so gratifying, is when you do succeed, you could really cherish it, because you know how much you failed, and how hard it is to come up and be successful in those situations where it's one swing, one at bat, one inning, and that could determine the outcome of the game and the outcome of the team chemistry and all that kind of stuff. So. So from there, yeah, and then I didn't play much in high school. I was, kind of really just concentrated on other stuff. I was, being a stupid teenager and kind of just went to go try out and, never showed up the next day, and, just kind of played rec ball here and there and stuff. But I did play college, luckily enough, because I kind of kept staying with baseball, like, outside of like, high school. I played like what's called like adult men's league. So luckily enough, I was playing one day, happened to be playing well, and a college coach came up to me and asked me if I was interested in playing baseball for BMCC. At the time, I was, all I ever wanted to do was be a baseball player. So I was like, yeah, this is my chance to, at least give this a shot and, have get some eyeballs on me and see if I could really get to this dream. And so it was a super fun time. For the sake of some of the stories, I'll save those for another time and kind of get into those. But as far as like just the overall experience and the competition and the team I had, it was awesome. I was I think one of only one or two white guys on the team. My team was primarily Dominican and Puerto Rican, and I think a few guys from Colombia. Or actually, I'm not 100% sure on that, but needless to say, it was a diverse group, and going into it, our coach kind of took that super competitive route as far as telling us like no positions are guaranteed, and I don't know who's going to make the team kind of thing. So and us not really knowing each other, it really set up an intense atmosphere where there was almost a lot of fights in between teammates, and I was, unfortunately, in the midst of those two with a few players, so I mean, it was definitely nitty gritty, but in a sense, it really made us a lot better because, the players that took the right approach to try to, get better and not put your teammates down and not try to like, root for them to fail, but just try to get them to just play better was really cool. But I mean, and that's not to say we all got along and the whole season was, sunshine and rainbows. But we definitely had our moments, where, we just, acted a fool and, and did some stuff that we shouldn't have done. But, I think for the most part, we respected each other's ability. At the end of the day, we might not have said it out loud, but we were happy for the times it succeeded. Looking back at it, I had a guy that I was competing with for first base that I hated the entire time, and it wasn't towards the end of the season where we actually kind of started. I wouldn't say being friends, but just being more cordial and at least admitting that, or acknowledging each other's talents and respecting each other's abilities. Because at the end of the day, we're both trying to do the same thing. So you can't fault somebody for trying to chase their dream too. So they're trying to get to the same place I'm trying to get. So you can't be mad at that. But the competitive side of me just wants to knock him out of the way and get to where I want to get. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it definitely taught me a lot. And it was because of baseball too, I was able to actually get into my career when I was in the travel industry. One of my good friends, Joe Catnies, he worked for this company, and we played baseball together for about 5 years on an adult men's league. And he got me an interview. I did fairly well. My manager was named John, and who I'll get into. I'm going to try to get him on the podcast too. I'm not sure if he's going to want to do it, but I'm going to try to get him on. I was lucky enough to mentor under him, and he taught me everything as far as the industry, and also just was a good mentor figure for life and all that kind of stuff. And he was a baseball guy too. He played baseball, so we used to chew tobacco in the office, so it was literally trading one dugout for another in a sense, and it was super cool. So and I was at a point in my life where I was told by a scout, you're not going to make it. And I didn't have a backup plan at that point. So not to say that was smart, but I was just really, thought, even though some people told me I could and some people said I couldn't, which is fine because, you need those kind of people in your life. You need people in your life that are going to be supportive, but you also need people to keep you in check and also to be safe and to have a backup plan. But, I kind of looked at that as if I'm looking at it, if I'm making that my backup plan, I'm not going to give everything I have to this dream I had. And in retrospect, I didn't. Objectively, I could have did things differently and did things better, but you can't change the course of time. So I live with those decisions, and at the end of the day, I don't think anything I did differently would have made me get to that level, to be honest, and that's okay. But I feel like now my purpose would be to help the younger generation get there, or just to give them some knowledge and to let them know what to expect. And if I can get one or two kids to get to a higher level than I got, then I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish. So that's how I'm looking at it now. But shoot, I lost my train of thought there. But oh yeah, so no, going back. So I mean, I owe a lot to baseball in that sense because I was able to make a pretty good living in that industry. It was fun. It was like a dugout. I got to work with really close friends of mine. I was able to build really close friendships. And ones I still have to this day, which is pretty awesome. And, even in those work atmospheres, like I was lucky enough to, be in, charge of running meetings and stuff. And I would give, all these guys baseball analogies, like, so it was like, it's kind of like I never left the field, even though obviously I did. And I traded my uniform for a suit, which was, still never felt, never fit the same way like a uniform fit. But, you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, then, you adapt or die. That's the way it goes. And, but, I miss it. I miss it every day. I missed it, when when I wasn't playing a lot. I remember telling myself in my mid-20s, the day I'll stop playing is like the day I'm physically not able to play. But, obviously life changes as you get older. I moved out of New York. I had all these other things that happened in my life, and and I'm not upset. And I think I would still, play if we ever get out of quarantining, or even play softball. Even though my 28-year-old self would cringe, me saying that at my age now that I might play softball, but I still just love being on the field, and it brings back a lot of good memories, and it's just it's somewhere I feel like I belong. It's one of those things where it's like when people are gravitated towards something they like to do, it's just like some people pick up a guitar and then just they feel right, or some artists pick up a paintbrush and they just go, and that's how baseball was like for me. It's I had a glove in my hand. I just I could do this. Like it was so weird. Like like I remember the first catch I had my dad. It was like he threw a glove at me. I caught it, and he didn't tell me how to throw a ball or catch a ball. It was just like I just instinctively just kind of picked it up, and that's probably a lot from him. But it's something that's just like it's always going to be ingrained in me. And now with everything going on, it's it's getting tougher. But the cool thing is that because we live in the era where we have all this technology and information, we're able to go back and we can analyze videos and stuff, and that's something I've been trying to do better with my time, because lately it's been watching interrogation videos and all these things I shouldn't be watching, just because obviously with everyone's anxiety heightened, that you shouldn't be watching that kind of stuff now. So I'm trying to focus mainly on getting better as a coach, watching other good hitting instructors, picking their brains and seeing how I can manipulate some of my kids that are stubborn, that don't want to get better, and taking that time to really appreciate the game as a whole too, because I've been watching some old Griffey videos. He was my favorite player, along with Don Mattingly growing up. So going down memory lane, seeing all these great hitters that I remember as a kid, and seeing now as a hitting coach, seeing their swings and trying to break them down now, and trying to get my kids that I coach to kind of see them, see those swings and see how you could have the same approach, and just trying to trick them with maybe guys who have been there, because the difficult part of coaching is, because I've never made it to the highest level, is and kids don't want to take advice from someone that hasn't been there. And I know as a player too, I was the same way. Like, if someone was trying to give me advice when I was struggling, I'm like, who are you? You never made it. But some of the best minds, some of the best coaches are some guys that didn't get to that level, because they're able to have a better mindset, and they're able to maybe relate the information better. Like, I feel like Derek Jeter can never teach me or teach a kid how to hit, and obviously Derek Jeter is one of the best hitters to ever hit. But somebody like Alex Rodriguez could break it down and teach a kid from A to Z how to hit, how to hold a bat, stuff. There's a lot of intangible stuff that goes into it that I actually had to also, when I went through a learning curve, when I taught kids how to, start hitting too, because, you start figuring out things that you were doing wrong and things that you were taught that maybe weren't correct. And you kind of have to relearn and also be open to be wrong, which is hard, because as baseball players and athletes, in general, we don't want to be wrong. And, but it's part of being accountable, and it's part of, growing and becoming a better ball player, and becoming a better coach, or just becoming better in general. It just, it's a hard pill to swallow for most of us. And I know I'm definitely not the exception to the rules. So, but I will wrap it up here. I felt good getting that off my chest. I'm sure, like most of you who love baseball, you miss it like I do. Hopefully it will return soon to some capacity. I'm hearing maybe mid-May. I'll take anything at this point, without fans, in a sandbox, at a beach, any sort of baseball right now will be welcomed. I'm playing MLB The Show extensively, so that's been helping me, just creating fantasy rosters and matchups and stuff. That's been kind of keeping me sane and getting my baseball fix out there. This Friday, I'm going to be doing a UFC 249 preview show with both my brothers, Steven and Brian. Brian does MMA and is trying now to be an inspiring rapper, which I'm rooting for him. My brother is, I will find out. We haven't spoken in a while. Hopefully he's just doing his thing. And I've been trying to coax him to become a wrestler. So I'm going to try to bug him about that again, see if he's going to go down. Actually, well, with everything going on in the epidemic, it's going to be hard to get into any sort of wrestling school, whatever. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I also would like to give a shout out to my girlfriend for being patient and supportive and not yelling at me while I record these podcasts about 15 feet from her. She's been super supportive, and she's a reason why I'm doing this. And I'm actually using her computer, so she deserves about 85% credit for this. So the extra 15 is just me yapping about baseball. But that's all I have for tonight. And I will see you guys Friday when I put out that podcast for UFC 249. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you on the other side. Peace.